Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to take a line from Martin Birkin, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright, since I started going to commercial gyms again, I'm not going to say where, but I train at about 5 commercial gyms right now, rotate through them. So I get to see a wide variety of people these days, and particularly when I went in the other day at peak times, like 9 o'clock at night, to a commercial gym, get some clean and push presses done for Brittany to get some deadlifting in. I saw weak people. I saw weak people everywhere. And I've been seeing it in gyms, but this one was particularly bad that night, because when I looked around, what did I see? I saw tons of guys who did not look like they lifted, hanging out in groups. And there was like one big guy, and some of them were watching him, and even him, you could tell he was using a fair amount of gear, extremely upper body dominant, doing a bunch of basically a chest day with tons of dumbbell work. And, some of the other guys are kind of watching him to get an idea of what was going on, and it's kind of the case there. You watch the bros like that who own a bunch of gear still do a bro split. It's like the blind leading the blind, but as they say, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And so you see that going on, but what did I see when I looked around at everyone else? I saw a bunch of people who did not look like they lifted, a lot of them. And what were all of them doing? Isolation work. Half of them had belts on. Half these dudes had belts on. What were they doing with their belts? Curling, doing stuff in the cable station, side laterals, tricep pushdowns, even over the head, bent over tricep pushdowns with a belt on, curling with a belt on, bench pressing with a belt on. And when you watch what these guys do, almost no one's training their back, no one's training their legs. There was one guy over and curling in the squat rack with, a 5-pounder on each side of the bar, mind you, with a belt. I guess he had that in there so that he could not hurt his back lifting up that 55 pounds out of the rack, because he was too weak to lift it off the floor, I guess. So he needed that belt to protect his back. When I watched the kids curl, and there were a couple guys curling next to me, of course we had to look out because they were trying to use the preacher curl to do standing curls, because again, they weren't weak and strong enough to pick up a barbell off the floor, so they had to load their weight on the preacher rack, and we kept forgetting to use clips, and so the plates would slide off. But these pair of guys, I watched them, they probably had 11-inch arms. All right, no discernible muscle growth. You could not tell that they have ever touched a weight. Yet they were trying to use the heaviest weight possible. And I didn't try to calculate their plates. It might have been like a 10 and a 5 on each side of this preacher curl bar. How did they curl? Like this. All the way over at the top, like this. And they never lock out at the bottom. Working almost no bicep. And I stood there watching this thinking, and after they did about 8 or 9 sets like this, because I'm over here doing clean and push presses, so I'm there a little while. Watching them. No discernible arm growth. They were in there for 45 minutes doing curls, using almost no bicep. Using almost no bicep at all. Too scared to pick up a bar even off the floor, they had to take it out of the preacher rack to do this. A weight that they clearly couldn't curl, and they never went lower than this at any point. Wrists all the way forward, which you never do on a curl. Doing this, thinking they're curling, and I mean you could not tell that they've ever touched a weight. Look over, see a few guys bench pressing. What are they doing? They're bench pressing with one plate on each side, bouncing the bar off their chest. Bouncing the bar off their chest. And then of course when they get fatigued and it starts to shift, their asses lift up off the bench, and their friend, puts a finger under each side, saying, oh you, while they put up one finger under each side. You watch this stupidity go on. You watch this stupidity go on. The only barbell work people are doing, they're half-assing it and they're fucking it up. Everyone's doing isolation work, cable work, doing it wrong, fucking it up, wearing belts. And you're looking around, and I think I counted probably 35, 40 guys in this weight room. I saw maybe 3 guys who looked like they even lift. And one of them was on gear, clearly on gear. And he's overdoing heavy dumbbell work. At least he was using like some 100-pound dumbbells for like incline dumbbell presses. Only guy with any size clearly on gear is over at least doing a heavy compound. Everyone else is in there just fucking off. Nothing but endless isolation work done with piss poor form and benching terribly. And benching terribly with light weights. And watching people coach each other and try to teach each other. None of them knew anything about training. And maybe the only back work I think I saw was some cable work, some lat pull downs. I'm not saying the lat pull down is a terrible exercise or seated cable rows, but there's certainly better stuff for overall development. And you go into these gyms and you see the guys doing all this flup and pump and playing around and fucking around and goofing off and wearing belts for isolation work. Don't even get me started on belts. I'm not a fan of belts. You guys know that. You guys watch me rep out 500 pounds without a belt on the deadlift. My competition belt has been sitting in storage for 2 years. I haven't even put one on. Since I'm not competing, why do I need a belt? Only purpose I see for a belt is to squat and powerlifting meet. I don't need one outside of that. But these people are just playing, and then they sit around. None of them are making progress. And some of these guys have put in 6 months. With that many guys in there in the gym, they've all been training a little while, yet no results, no size. They were all either skinny fat or just skinny. All of them. No clue what they're doing, no rhyme, no reason, coming in probably on a bro split. It looked like it had to be a chest or an arm day, but I think it was a Wednesday night. And that's all they were doing. And rotating through, guys rotating in groups to do cable press downs, with none of them having any triceps. And you gotta wonder, do these guys know that all this fluff and pump they're doing are just finishing exercises to maybe help you a little bit after you do your real work? That heavy barbell work, big heavy compounds will put most of the size on you. No one squatting, no one deadlifting, no one really doing heavy barbell rows. Might have been some guys playing around with some weird rows, but I didn't really notice. And nobody's getting any results. And it's scary because you see this, and the thing is, people are like, well, why are you hating? I'm not trying to hate. I feel bad for this community. I feel bad for the culture because I see all these people in here dedicating their time to trying to better themselves in some way. They're trying to better themselves in some way. They're trying. They're at least putting in the effort. A lot of them are trying to work hard with all these isolation movements and force reps and taking everything to failure and swinging and cheating. They're all trying, but they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting anywhere. And that's why I have novice programs. That's why I run programs the way that I do for these people, to get people like this in to the gym to follow some basic strength training, to get really good on about 5 or 6 basic compound exercises on a high frequency and a nice moderate volume. That's how people get big. That's how you gain muscle. That's how you recomposition. Basic progressive overload on big movements. No one was even looking at their progressive overload because, again, you got 3 guys rotating through a bench press and they're all using just one plate aside. There's no micro plates. No one using 2.5s and 5s anywhere to micro load anything. They're in there just pumping away and doing it with bad form. No pausing, half the time not proper range of motion. And no one is getting results. And you feel bad. As someone who, basically what I do is put information out on training. That's all I do. And yeah, I have a pretty big audience. I get over 1 million views a month on this channel. I've got a decent sized audience. But, you know, I dedicate so much time to this and, you know, actually make a decent living doing it. Educating and informing people, but then I walk into a gym, big gym full of all these people supposedly in the same community in the fitness world who don't know anything, who literally do not know anything, and they have no clue what they're doing, and they're just imitating each other. It's monkey see, monkey do. You see guys who have no results, who maybe they've been in the gym 6 months longer than the other guys, teaching them what to do. You know what? You can't really tell them apart. Even the guy there who's maybe got a year of experience teaching his friends in the rotation, he's only got like 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle on the noobs. But yeah, I looked around and 90% of the guys in there do not even look like they lift. Endless fluff and pump. I mean, Martin Birkin is right. I think he hits the nail on the head with his fuck arounditis article. Because of exactly this. When you look around these gyms, this is what you see. None of these guys have a clue. And I agree with him. You get as strong as possible on something like the bench press, the weighted chin up. Seriously, you get to where you can do 5 or 6 dead hang chin ups with extra weight added. Or like he said, where 50% of your body weight added to it. You can do 5 reps from a dead hang on chin-ups like that. Your biceps and your back are going to get bigger. They're going to get decently big. They're going to get decently big. Big, heavy, basic compounds. Not all this fluff and pump, but that's what these people do. And they do it because that's what these bodybuilding magazines have told them to do. You come in and have to do 1 or 2 compounds, and they fuck around with those. And endless sets of isolation work, because that is 90% of what everyone was doing in there. And getting nowhere. Just like we saw in those studies, that for noobs, and these guys are all still noob status, clearly. Don't care how long they've been in there, they're noobs. Look at the studies. Noob status showed that lat pull downs caused more bicep growth than curls. And when noobs added curls to lat pull downs, they still didn't gain any more muscle on their biceps. Bench press added more muscle to triceps than a tricep extension. Just the bench press. In these studies of noobs, they gained more muscle. Even than the isolation work. But that's all these guys come in and do. And then they wonder why they don't get any results. Then they wonder why they don't get any results. And the only guys you see in these gyms who look like they lift when you get in there are the guys on gear most of the time. And they don't always train much better than these guys. They're just able to use a lot more weight. Because they've gained muscle and they've been on gear. They've been training a few years. And then the kids kind of watch them and get an idea and try to imitate them, and they still don't get anywhere. I don't know, to me it's just scary. It's absolutely scary watching what happens in these commercial gyms, that none of them have bothered to spend any time researching or reading. They haven't looked at any basic training. And you got to wonder, is there ever going to be a time when people like me, or who are trying to put this information out, they're ever going to get the masses to listen? Or are they just going to follow the gym culture that has been started by the magazines, all the fluff and pomp, and get people to just do more of the same? Because, you know, Martin Birkin wrote that article years ago, and I thought it would be helpful, you know, that everyone would see it and people would understand. And then you go into these gyms, no one has a clue. And none of them are taking any time. They're going to the gym day after day. Some of these guys are probably in there 4 or 5 days a week. They don't even take the time to educate themselves on the basics. Something that they're dedicating that much time to in their life, and they haven't gone and done any reading, any research, even with the internet at their fingertips. None of them are bothering to follow a proper structured program other than maybe something they read out of a magazine. I don't know. It's scary, and that's why I do what I do. That's why I do what I do, that at least if people come looking for information, if they come looking for information, my information is out there to help people. I don't know, maybe it needs to be packaged better so that more people like these sort of people will find it. but it is what it is. Maybe in the future we'll see a lot of this garbage in the gym culture get eradicated, and we'll see people actually getting in there and getting their money's worth, getting their time's worth, and actually getting results. But in the meantime, as long as you see stuff like this, we're going to keep seeing people who are going to the gym for a year straight who you wouldn't even know they work out. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.